Today we're going to talk about attributes of graphs and parent functions. So you need to make sure you have your calculator. You need to make sure that you have your spiral glue, scissors, and a pencil. You also need to have these foldables. You have this foldable. You have a glue tab in the middle. These words are going to be up. Never put glue on words unless it says glue here. So there's that one. Then there's this one that says parent functions of Algebra 1. You're going to put glue behind here and then have 3 things. And then you're going to have determine the parent function. This one, glue behind here. And so you need to make sure you get those. Glue those down in that order. Pause the video and get that done. Right, attributes of graphs and parent functions. And so, attributes is just a description of what's going on. Continuous means a graph that has connected points with no breaks. A graph that has connected points with no breaks. So you're going to open up this tab and write a graph that has connected points with no breaks. And so that would be like a line. A line has connected points and doesn't have any breaks. So pause the video if you need to get that on there. After continuous is discrete. Discrete is a graph that has isolated points or graphs with breaks. So a graph with isolated points is going to be all going in the same direction. We're going to get this. We're going to have bold blue dots. There's my dot. And so this dot this is a discrete graph, discrete dots, because they're just dots, they're isolated points, they have breaks in between them. That's what discrete is. So make sure you pause this video, get these words and this picture. Our next word is increasing, a graph that starts lower on the left and rises to the right. A graph that starts lower on the left and rises to the right. It could be a line. It doesn't have to be a line. It could be something that looks like this, that was started lower on the left. Ooh, that was ugly. Let's undo that sucker. Lower on the left and rises to the right. A graph that starts lower on the left and rises to the right. Pause this video and get that done. So now, after increasing is decreasing. A graph that starts higher on the left and lowers to the right. Higher on the left, lowers to the right. This one is going to be something that goes like that. That is decreasing. Make sure you get the words, a graph that starts higher on the left and lowers to the right. And you have your examples of your graphs. Remember, you can write on the underside of those tabs. X-intercept, where a graph intersects the x-axis. So we need to, do this. We need to make an XY axis. Get you to go away. An XY axis. So we could also have a line that goes like this. So our x-intercept is going to be this point that is right there. It's where it crosses the x-axis. Now, I could have another graph. So I'm going to get my x and y axis again. That's big unhocking. There's that. It doesn't always have to be a line. This graph has 1, 2, 3 x-intercepts at any place where it intersects the x-axis. These are also called, ooh, that was ugly. Sorry. This is also called a 0 because whenever I have my ordered pair, it's some number, comma, 0. So x-intercept is also called a 0. Pause the video, make sure you have all of that information down. So the next one is a y-intercept. And so whenever I have an xy axis, I'm going to do 2 of these. And so whenever I have that xy axis and I have a line that's going there, my y-intercept is that spot right there where it crosses or intersects the y-axis. But it doesn't always have to be a line. It can also be a graph that looks like this. And that spot right there is the y-intercept because it's where it crosses the y-axis. This ordered pair is always 0, comma, some number. That's a 0. Pause the video. Get all that down. Absolute minimum. Absolute minimum is the lowest point on a graph. There's only one. So whenever I have a graph, this is what the graphs will look like. Could look like this. So my absolute minimum is the spot that's the lowest spot ever. This one is easier to find because there's only one low spot. So where this one had 2, but this one was lower. Absolute minimum, the lowest point on the graph, there's only one. Pause this video and get all that down. Then there's an absolute maximum. Well, an absolute maximum could be like that. Oh, I don't want to do that part. Or it could be like this. And the absolute maximum is the highest point. This one right here is also called a vertex, and we'll get into that later. That's a vertex. Highest point is the maximum. Pause the video, get all that good business down. So now we're on the next foldable, and in algebra there's going to be 3 parent functions that you're going to have to know and memorize. There's linear, there's quadratic, and there's exponential. You have never done quadratic or exponential, you've only done linear. And so the linear parent function, you need to write y equals x. And you also need to write f of x equals x. Those are my linear parent functions. F of x means a function of x. That's what f of x means. You're going to need to know that f of x is a function of x, and the f of x means y. It's the same thing. F of x and y is the same thing. So you're going to take your calculator, clear the memory if you have not already, and we're going to get a graph, and we're going to type x in there and press enter. And so that right there is our parent function. It goes through the origin. It starts from the left to the right and goes through the origin. My screen is a rectangle, and so my graph doesn't go from corner to corner. If it was a perfect square, it would go from corner to corner. But what's important is it goes to the origin. When you were in 8th grade, this was called proportional. Okay, so now I want you to press menu, 7 for table, and 1, and then go up. And let's get some negatives. And so for the table, we need to get this right here. My table has -2, -2. So you're writing this on your notebook paper or underneath the flap. -1, -1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2. Well, they're the same on both sides because y equals or is the same thing as x. Now, when we talked about functions, D and R are domain and range. And so my domain, and we use this little thingamajigger right here, those braces, and my range, ooh, that needs to be capital R. So for my domain, that's all my x values, left and right. There's arrows on the ends of these right here. So I have arrows on the ends of my lines because they keep on going. They keep on going to the farthest left and to the farthest right. And so my domain is all real numbers. I can go as low as I want and as high as I want until my range is all real numbers. For every line, linear function, your domain and range will be all real numbers. Make sure you get all of this information underneath that tab. Pause the video if you need to. So my next one is my quadratic function. And so my quadratic function is y equals x squared. It can also equal f of x equals x squared, because y and f of x are the same thing. So y equals x squared and f of x equals x squared. Excuse me. So we're going to go on our calculator. We're going to x. Nope, we don't want to do that. Get my calculator again. And I'm going to type in x squared. Enter. This, instead of a line, it's a U-shaped. It's called a parabola. So a parabola is the name of the graph. And so sketch, oops, wrong thing. Sketch that graph. This has an absolute minimum because it has a lowest point. My lowest point is the origin. It passes through the origin also. It's right there. And so press menu 7, 1, and there's our table. But we need to get some positives and negatives. What you notice about this table is that it's symmetrical. 4, 1, 0, 1, 4. It has an axis of symmetry. The y-axis chops this sucker in half, and so it's the same on both sides. -2, 4, -1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 4. What do you notice about all of my y's, no matter what? They're always positive because we take the input value and square it or multiply it by itself. And so that's what the table is. Now, for my domain, it's my x values. And I can go as far left as I need to and as far right as I need to. And so for my domain, it is all real numbers. But on the other hand, my range, I can't go as far down as I want to. I have to start somewhere. My range starts here and goes up. So it is, y is, since it goes up, greater than 0, but can it equal to 0? Yes, it can equal to 0, and so we have to put an underline underneath that. My range is all real numbers greater than 0. Pause this video, get all that information down. My next one is going to be my exponential function. This is y equals ab to the x power, or f of x. That is the exponential function. Now, we have letters here because x is my exponent. What we're going to use to look at this is f of x equals 2 to the x power. F of x equals 2 to the x power. That's what we're going to use. So we're going to go to our calculator, x and no, and then we are going to get a graph and put 2 to the x, so 2 and then caret x, enter, and it looks like this. So we're going to sketch our graph. And put it underneath the exponential tab. It goes really, 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 really close to this and then goes up exponentially. You've heard that. And so if I press menu 7, 1, like I've been doing, 2, 4, 8, 16, if I go here and I keep on going, these numbers keep on getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, such that it doesn't ever touch my x-axis. And so there's a very funny word that it has that we will get into later, but it has something called an asymptote. The x-axis is an asymptote, and it doesn't ever go underneath that. And so for my domain, once again, for my domain, it's going to be all real numbers, or you can put that symbol. And then for my range, there's a limit to it. A range is all the numbers that are greater than 0. While ago, I could include my 0, but this one just gets closer and closer and closer and closer and doesn't touch it, and so it's got to be greater than 0. Oh, make sure that that is the right thing and not the parentheses. Okay. Pause your video, get all that information down, and then we got one more foldable to go. So we are going to determine the parent function. So all we have is points here. We could take them, we could plot them, but I'm going to show you or refresh your memory on how to plot them on the calculator. So we're going to go to our calculator. We're going to X out of here. No, we don't want to save it. Okay. We're going to go to hopefully what you're going to learn to be your bestie friend. And so list and spreadsheets. You're going to go up, up, X, tab, Y. Make sure you're doing this with me. Up, up, X, tab, Y. Then we're going to go down, down, left. And then we're going to put all of our X values in there. So -4, enter, -1, enter, 1, enter, 2, enter. We got to go over here and get back up here and say 0, enter, -12, enter, -10, enter, and -6, enter. So you may have to go back and rewind, make sure your calculator looks like my calculator. Then we're going to press Control, Doc, and we need to add data and statistics. That's number 5. So you can either use your mouse or you can press the number 5. And now we have this graph. These dots are just random places because we've got to click in here and say, hey, I want this to be my x-axis. So I click there and those dots magically move. But they're all like this, and we know that's not the right thing because I haven't clicked over here. So click over here, and this is my y-axis. So I must have done something wrong on that one. That's -4, 0. I don't know what's janky about that. I goofed up. But what is this? What does this one look like? That looks like, oh, well, maybe not. There's this. And then this, is that going to look like a quadratic? So this one is a quadratic. And it is y equals x squared. That's it, a quadratic because it went up on both sides. Look at our calculator here. Came down and then back up to right there. There is our quadratic. Okay. Click X and no. Back to your list and spreadsheets. Make sure you're doing this with me. Up, up, X, tab, Y, down, down, left. And we're going to type -4, -2, 3, and 5. It does not do you any good if you don't do this part with me. 14, 8, -7, and -13. Okay. Pause and catch up with me if you need to. Control Dock. We're going to do number 5. Click in here to get me the X. They magically move. Click in here to get my Y. And what is that right there? That's going right there. That is linear. And is Y equal, not that one, equals X. It's linear. So this one is probably exponential, but let's check. X, no. Listen spreadsheets, up, up. X, tab, Y, down, down, left. -2, -1, 0, and 1. And we're going to put 0.04, 0.2, 1, and 5. Control, well, make sure you got it all in. Dock 5. Click on the x-axis. Click on the y-axis. And what kind is that? That is an exponential, exponential, and we're going to say y equals AB to the x power. That is how you use your calculator to plot points. You could, if you wanted to, plot them. Here is the steps if you want to write them down. Home, listen spreadsheets, up, up, X tab Y, down, down, left. Then you put all the numbers in. Control Dock 5. Click on the bottom axis X, click on the side axis Y, and then look at it all. You can copy that down, or if you think you got it, you got it. So now there is an assignment. It's going to be in Google Classroom, but before you go to the other Google Classroom assignment, you're going to need to take a picture of your notes. If you have any questions, make sure that you email me.